The Australian Grand Prix is on this weekend, guys. I am so excited for the start of the Formula 1 season. And just like we did in 2024, in 2025, we are going to go through the 5 drivers that I'm looking forward to seeing most this weekend around the Albert Park Street circuit in Melbourne, Australia. We're going to do this for every single race this season in 2025 here on the F1Chronicle.com. I'm going to pick out 5 drivers that I'm looking forward to seeing. Like I said, a lot of moves, a lot of rookies in the sport, and quite a few local drivers as well in this event. So without further ado, guys, let's have a look at the drivers I'm looking forward to seeing the most at the 2025 Australian Grand Prix. And we'll start with one of the local lads, Jack Doohan, competing in only his second Formula 1 race in his career, and also competing in the Australian Grand Prix for the first time, this time for Alpine. Alpine very much are in the ascendancy if you believe a lot of the gossip around the paddock when it comes to testing times. They could very well be top of the midfield, but Alpine are a tricky one to predict. They are a team that are very much flattered to deceive in the past. Doohan very much has pressure on him as well. Of course, he is rumoured very heavily to be leaving the team as a full-time driver after just 5 rounds of this season to be replaced with Franco Colapinto. But regardless of all that, I don't doubt that he's going to very much enjoy this weekend and have a good chance of getting some points on his proper debut. I mean, obviously he was in Abu Dhabi. Obviously he completed for Alpine in that, but it was very much a last-minute appointment. This is his proper debut ahead of what could be his first full season in Formula 1, or at least he'll start that way anyway. So I'm hoping for a good result for one of the local lads in Jack Doohan. And no matter what, his father Mick will be very proud, no doubt, about seeing his son compete in his home race this weekend. Another local lad I want to highlight is Oscar Piastri. Now, Piastri is very heavily tipped to be involved in the championship battle this season. McLaren are the heavy favourites heading into this season in terms of their performance overall in testing. Now, an Australian has never stood on the Grand Prix podium in the Formula 1 era of the Australian Grand Prix. Now, I know, before anybody points it out, Daniel Ricciardo did finish second on the road at the 2014 Australian Grand Prix, but he was of course disqualified, so that does not count as a podium, nor does Mark Webber going up there in 2002 after scoring points on debut for Minardi. Oscar Piastri has a real chance and an opportunity of being the first Aussie to get a podium in his home race in Formula 1, and I think he's a very strong bet for this. He's a very good qualifier. He's someone who's got a very cool head on his shoulders. I have heard that apparently all the media duties and everything like that can make it difficult for Aussie drivers. They've got a lot of stuff to kind of promote and film, and it's very tiring before they actually get into the race itself, so that could work against him. But the home crowd, a sellout crowd in Melbourne, Australia, will very much be roaring him onto the finish, so I think he's got a very good chance not only of a podium but of a potential home win this weekend. Now, not a little lad by any stretch of the imagination, but this is the closest race of the season to a home race for Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson, of course, making his Red Bull Racing debut this weekend around the Albert Park Street circuit. This is also going to be Lawson's first full season in Formula 1, where he's actually started the season as a Formula 1 driver, and he's of course got the small task of competing against Max Verstappen in the same car. I think this is going to be a fascinating dynamic between the two of them, and I'm going to back Liam Lawson for at least a top 5 on his Red Bull Racing debut. Historically, he does adapt very quickly to new seasons and new teams and new categories, of course, so this new car at Red Bull, I think he's going to do well. It might take him a little bit of time to get used to things, but he'll be competing in the top car for the first time in his Formula 1 career, and I wish the Kiwi all the best of luck during this race weekend. The first race weekend in Formula 1 this time around for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, just 18 years young, and he's making his debut at Mercedes no less as well. This is going to be a very difficult task for him, but I think as long as he's given time to breathe and grow and learn and allowed to make mistakes, he will very much be someone to be reckoned with in the years to come. He is a real protege. He is someone who's a real promise of someone who can do incredibly well in the future. Mercedes, of course, I don't think they're going to do too well this season relatively. They didn't have a similar season to what they had last season, but at the end of the day, you know, that is a car that should be challenging for podiums, if not wins. It could be cool this weekend as well. in Melbourne. You never know. It's not the warmest time of year typically in Australia right now. They're heading towards their winter time. It's their autumn time at the moment, or fall if you're American, of course. So I think he's going to do well. I'm backing him for solid points. Unfortunately, like I said as well, because he is so inexperienced, I think he is someone who is liable to potentially cause an incident, crash the car perhaps. There's never a dull moment, I don't think. Typical Italian at the end of the day. Very, very, very spontaneous and hard to predict. I hope he'll do well, and I'm backing him to do well this weekend as well. Now, not making his debut in Formula 1, but making his debut for his new team, Sir Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. I can't not highlight Hamilton here. Now, Ferrari, they're not the favourites. They're not the favourites coming into this. A lot of people putting them behind Red Bull and McLaren, which I have done personally, and some people even putting them behind Mercedes. I don't think they'll be behind Mercedes. I think they'll be third best. But in terms of qualifying pace, they got Charles Leclerc in the team, Hamilton as well, most pole positions in the history of Formula 1. Australia, though, is not the happiest of hunting grounds for Hamilton over the years. He's had 8 pole positions here, which I believe is a record. One of the most amount of pole positions at a Grand Prix of any description in the history of Formula 1, but only 2 wins to his name. And 2025 will mark a decade since his previous win around Albert Park, and he's not won around the new configuration in 2022 onwards. Granted, he's not had the best Mercedes car during those 3 years either, so you can also chalk it up to that. I think Hamilton is definitely a strong bet to get to the podium, but we'll have to see. It's going to take a bit of time potentially to get used to the car, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he gets hitting the ground running. And of course, Nigel Mansell, of course, Il Leone, the famous former Ferrari driver as well, has backed Hamilton to emulate him 36 years on from his debut Ferrari win at Brazil all those years ago. I think that's a strong bet and a bold claim for sure, but I think it's possible. You never know. You never know. But yeah, if you want to hear some more bold predictions, I will be putting out a bold prediction video for the 2025 Formula 1 season. And I think that's gonna be a it's a bit of fun predictions. But yeah, those are 5 of the drivers I'm looking forward to seeing this weekend, guys. I mean, we've got full debuts as well for the likes of Isaac Hadjar and also Gabriel Bortoleto this weekend too. Those are 2 guys to look out for. There's not a dull team on the Formula 1 grid really. Even the likes of Sauber and Williams and all, they got a bit of something about them this season. You never know. Things could very much change for them. But that's my take on it, guys. Who are you looking forward to seeing the most this weekend in the Australian Grand Prix? And who's going to win? Who's going to stand on the top step? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always if you want to see more content like this on the world of Formula 1. And of course, I would appreciate if you went for all the paid programs as well on Patreon or on Substack. You get some exclusive member benefits if you do that, and I would really appreciate it. Become an F1 legend in 2025. So yeah, have a great day, guys. Hope we have a fantastic race on Sunday morning, and see you very soon.